All right. So this is officially my last morning, my last sunrise in my van. Um, I've been I've been in this van for the last 2.5, 3 weeks, and boy, what an adventure it's been. Um, I mean, if you've followed on Instagram, then you know you've seen the picture that came out of it, and it's been absolutely insane. You know, it's funny if I think about it because basically this van was built in 2010, and when I first got it, I was kind of yeah, I was thinking, oh, this is a bit of an old van. It had 350,000 kilometers on it. Um, what if it just breaks down on me? Because I was going to take it through the outback, literally for 5 days. But no, it worked out great, and honestly, I've managed to make my systems and to get accustomed to it, and yeah, it's really been a wild journey. But I want to talk today about a photo that I haven't shared yet. And it's a photo that I had on my mind for 2 days as I was driving north through the outback. And so what happened basically is, as I was driving, I saw this just out the window, this image of a hawk taking off from the carcass of some roadkill, and it had a piece of meat in its claws. And I thought, wow, what a strong image, to represent the Australian outback. Because, hawks are really some, or maybe the apex predators of the outback. It's hawks and eagles. They don't have any natural predators, but they hunt small mammals, they hunt snakes, and yeah, turns out they also need to scavenge on roadkill because that's just how tough it is. And so I had been looking for the opportunity to capture this picture for the next 2 days, basically looking at every roadkill carcass I passed to see if it was fresh enough, if there were birds feeding on it, and so on. And eventually, I am on this road where it's nobody for miles. As in, I think I drove on it for 2.5 hours and I only met two cars. Um, and I also stood still waiting for this photo for 1.5 hours. But basically, I saw this carcass. It was quite fresh. And yeah, birds were feeding on it, including hawks. And so I parked there. I went a little bit ahead and then I backed up so I could shoot out of there, basically, out of the rear of the van. And I opened my trunk and I just waited. Now, of course, me driving past scared all the birds, so I had to wait for all of them to come back. But it took longer than I expected. And so I tried figuring out why. And as I was sitting there observing the birds, they were circling above me. So they could clearly see that there was a carcass, but I think they also saw me and they saw me as a threat. And then I tried to hide out. So basically, as I had that trunk open, I pulled a curtain so that I would be behind the curtain. They started getting closer, but they still didn't go for the feed, and I couldn't understand why. Until I realized that I had these ones open, and what the hawks did, which was just so incredibly smart, and that's why, that's why animals and wildlife fascinate me so much. They had a lookout. So one of them was sitting on a tree that was just there, and he could see me in the van. And so that's why all the other hawks, while circling lower to the ground or even standing close to the roadkill, nobody dared to go eat, because for animals, that's when you're the most vulnerable, when you feed. So then what I did was I just lied down completely still. I pulled all the curtains, and little did I know, they started feeding within 5-10 minutes of me pulling those curtains. And I got my shot. In fact, it was even better than I could have ever imagined, because as there's birds feeding on the carcass, there's this one hawk that flies away, and it doesn't just fly away with a small piece. No, it grabbed an entire gut. And sorry if that's gory, but it grabbed this entire piece of gut from the animal and started flying away with it. And yeah, that was just the photo that I imagined in my mind. So yeah, there you go. I got it. And here it is. Now, you can also see this on my Instagram. By the time this video is up, I will have posted it. And yeah, I'll try to make more videos about the things that I encountered on my adventures here. But for now, I gotta get packing. The sun has risen. I'm leaving in a couple of hours. I'm actually flying to Singapore first. So I'm gonna spend 1 day there, and I will be putting this baby to the test. That's the 90mm f2 from Fuji. I'm expecting quite a bit of rain in Singapore, and this is weather sealed. So let's see how that works out. See ya.